The views and opinions expressed in the DILLIGAF podcast are those of the host alone and are not intended to express those of any other person, business, or entity. The DILLIGAF podcast is for entertainment only. These are my opinions and should not be interpreted as facts or advice. Think for yourself.
Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DILLIGAF podcast, talking about anything and everything that interests me. Makes me think, laugh, cry, scream, rage, or say what the fuck. You'll hear about it. My name's Tom. I'm your host. Thank you to everybody for watching or listening on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, share. Please share. Get the word out. Also rate and comment. All that stuff really helps out the show. Make sure you're following on social media on all platforms. It's at DILLIGAF_pod. And you can find all that information on my Linktree, which is Linktree/DILLIGAF_pod, or just scan the QR code right here in the corner of your screen. So today, talking about one of my favorite subjects, just because I find it fascinating as hell, and that is conspiracy theories. Now, that word gets thrown around a lot today in relation to a lot of different stuff. But for any of you who are not familiar with what a conspiracy theory is, it's basically just the idea that whatever public or official story is out there about an occurrence or an event or whatever it might be is untrue. And there's some type of shady goings on, that there's some type of cover up, and there's people conspiring, hence conspiracy theories, to cover up the truth about whatever that event might be. And there is all kinds of things like this throughout history. I mean, regarding everything under the sun, from assassinations to medical stuff, to wars, to terrorist attacks, to music, sports, literally anything you can think of. There's probably some type of conspiracy theory about some area of it. So, and I'm not going to get real in depth on specific theories today. I'm just kind of going to give more or less an overview of what they are and just some of the ones that are out there. Like I said, I find them fascinating. And I don't necessarily, I'm not a conspiracy theorist myself, but I have a lot of interest in them. Some of them are very plausible, some very well thought out and reasonable theories out there, and then other ones are just some of the dumbest shit you ever heard in your life. Honestly, like, you've heard the phrase "dumb as a box of rocks." Yeah, there's some conspiracy theories out there like that. But over the next, I'm thinking 3 weeks, I'm just going to get into, I guess, what you could say are my favorite conspiracy theories. Like, each week I'm going to pick one and just really dive into it and, talk about the different theories that are out there on certain things. One of the ones that I'm going to talk about probably next week is the John F. Kennedy assassination. I call this one the mother of all conspiracy theories, just because it's one that pretty much everybody knows. I mean, it's not just one theory out there about the JFK assassination, but everybody's heard something about it. Now, of course, the official story is on November 22nd. Yeah, November 22nd, 1963. John F. Kennedy was assassinated while driving through Dallas in his motorcade by Lee Harvey Oswald from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Squeezed off 3 shots in like less than 6 seconds from an old Italian bolt-action rifle. That's the official story that's out there. That's the story that the government, puts out there. Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK, and that's that. And then just a couple days later, Lee Harvey Oswald was killed while being transferred from the police station to the jail. So, we can't ask Oswald if he had any help. And there are so many different theories. I mean, the Congress even had a commission established to, get to the root of the assassination, find out if there was more than one person. It was called the Warren Commission, and their official story, it was Oswald, and that's it. But even that has conspiracy theories attached to it, as far as them ignoring evidence and straight fabricating evidence and just all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, there's been movies and TV shows about it. The movie JFK with Kevin Costner, really good movie, by the way. You should, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Very cool movie. But that actually tells the story of the only prosecution ever brought in the JFK assassination, which happened in New Orleans, um, because of one of the supposed conspirators. Now that person was found not guilty, obviously. So nobody's ever been convicted or punished in any way for the JFK assassination ever. But there's so many different thoughts and ideas about it out there. Some of them very plausible, make some sense. Others of them are like, what is wrong with these people? I mean, everybody from the vice president at the time, Lyndon B. Johnson, to the military, to the Secret Service, to the CIA, the FBI, the mafia, Cuba, Russia. I mean, all these people are accused of having been in on JFK's assassination at one point or another. And like I said, there are, movies, TV shows made about it. Even the TV show The X-Files had an episode where they touched on it. If you're an X-Files fan, the smoking man supposedly killed JFK in the X-Files reality. There's another a limited series on Hulu called 11/22/63, which it has like a time travel element. Guy is able to go back in time and he tries to prevent the assassination of JFK. Interesting show. Check that one out too if you get a chance. It's with can't remember the actor's name right now, but it's called 11/22/63. It's on Hulu. I think it's only like 6 episodes, so it's definitely worth a watch if you're into the conspiracy theory type thing or whatever. So should definitely check that one out as well. But yeah, the JFK assassination is my all-time favorite conspiracy theory, just because there is so much out there. And this is one, I'm not going to say I believe one particular theory on this, but I think there's more than what the public was told. And I'll say that. Another very popular conspiracy theory is called the New World Order. And no, I'm not talking about the wrestling faction with Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. What the New World Order refers to is that there is a global conspiracy of just the global elite, politicians, rich people, the people that control all the money in the world, basically saying they control everything behind the scenes. They control all the wars. They control all the governments. They control all of the economics of the entire world. And, so, and it's called the New World Order, that basically that the elites of the world are in control of everything and we don't even know it. Like all of our elections and all this kind of stuff means nothing. And again, very interesting because it's plausible. I mean, that could, it wouldn't shock me if that was the case. I'll put it that way. Another thing there's tons of conspiracy theories about is 9/11, the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York, saying that there were it wasn't the plane crashes that caused the buildings to come down. It was controlled demolition, like when they're demolishing an old building. That's what was done to the World Trade Centers. And some say it wasn't planes at all. It was cruise missiles that were fired into the buildings, and they weren't actually passenger jets. They were like fighter jets that flew into it, and that there had to be some kind of sabotage because jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt the steel infrastructure of the building. Interesting stuff. Some of it plausible, some of it not so much. But just to give you an idea of any type of major event throughout history, there's probably a conspiracy theory attached to it. I mean, going as far back as ancient Rome, there's conspiracy theories about Nero, Emperor Nero, and his death. Saying that he didn't actually die, he faked his death and went into hiding and that kind of stuff. Another one from more recent history, COVID-19. Tons of conspiracy theories behind that one, that it was engineered as a bioweapon in China, or even that the US government had something to do with it, to cause forced vaccinations, which, are meant for some type of population control. Like everybody that had a vaccination, 30% of them are going to die in X amount of years. And that's what I'm talking about when ridiculous shit. Okay, vaccinations have been around for shit ever. Okay, obviously not forever. Vaccination's been around for a very long time. And it's just crazy. And people are saying, oh, there's microchips in the vaccinations and they're tracking you. I hate to burst anyone's bubble who believes that they're injecting microchips so they can track us all where we go. What do you think is the more likely scenario, that they're going to put these tracking chips, if that's the case, if are they going to put these tracking chips in a vaccine, which is optional? Nobody's forced to get it. Are they going to put these tracking chips in a vaccine that's optional, that you're not guaranteed that everybody's going to get? Or are you going to put it in something that pretty much every single person has, that they carry on them 24/7? You're already being tracked, folks. It's right here. If you have one of these, you're being tracked. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, track me. I don't care. Whatever. You want to know? You want to know when I'm driving to work, when I'm coming home, when I'm going to get a beer or whatever? I don't give a shit. Come have a beer with me. Whatever. We'll talk about conspiracy theories. But again, some of the ridiculousness, and that leads into that touches on the whole anti-vax thing. Damn, you talk about some stupid ass people. Talk to an anti-vaxxer. Oh my God. People that insist that vaccines cause autism in kids. And, they always seem to ignore the fact that the doctor that actually produced research on that, saying that it did cause autism in kids, admitted it was fraudulent and had his medical license revoked. So doesn't do much for your cause. That's one of those that I consider dumber than dog shit, is the whole anti-vax thing. Talking about dumber than dog shit, anybody ever talk to a flat earther? Yes, the earth is flat, folks. It's flat. Not a globe, just flat. And there's a big dome over it. So basically we're in a snow globe. And the sun and the moon are in the inside of the glass. And if you ever want an adventure, go on to a flat earth Facebook page. Oh my God, the ridiculous crap you will see. I mean, these are the same people that think we never went to the moon, even though, there's footprints up there and we've been there 6-7 times. But they say, oh, it was filmed in a studio and how it was Hollywood, and you can see there's wind blowing. Were you watching the same video with Neil Armstrong that I was? Because whatever. I don't know. Like I said, some conspiracy theories are just dumber than shit. But some have actually been admitted and proven true. Like there was a program, I want to say in the 1960s, or actually going back further than that, it might go all the way back to the 40s. I'm not 100% sure, but it was called MK Ultra. You've never heard of that. It was a CIA program, a secret CIA program that conducted human experiments with LSD for mind control, to make more obedient soldiers and stuff. But I mean, they conducted these experiments on like college campuses with like psych patients, people that were getting like therapy for mental health issues, and CIA finally had to admit this because some documents were discovered through, I believe it was through the Freedom of Information Act, and not real in depth. A lot of the documents were destroyed, but we have enough information. No, yeah, this actually happened, and it's been linked to more than one serial killer. So, nice going CIA. But yeah, supposedly Charles Manson was a part of MK Ultra, and so was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. I mean, my God, that does kind of show you the stuff that the U.S. government is willing to do to its citizens, or at least was willing to do at some point. can't see why that would have changed. I mean, they got away with it once. How do you know? What's to say they aren't continuing to get away with it? But yeah, that's another one's very interesting. If you look that up, it's called MK Ultra, and it was confirmed. It happened. There was conspiracy theories about it, but it's true. It happened. Yep, CIA fed people a bunch of LSD, trying to basically turn them into mindless, just yeah, they were experimenting with mind control and they were using LSD. It explains a lot about the 60s, honestly. But like I said, some of it even goes into the music industry. Anybody who's a fan of the Beatles has probably heard the Paul is dead conspiracy theory. That Paul McCartney died in a car accident, in the early 60s and was replaced by a lookalike that won some Paul McCartney lookalike contest. And supposedly the whole reason they had this contest was because they were replacing Paul McCartney because he had died in a car wreck, and the Beatles had just started to establish their or started to hit their peak of fame at that time. So they replaced him with this lookalike person, and supposedly there's so many clues and album covers and song lyrics. And this is another one I'm going to dive into probably in a couple of weeks because I find it fascinating because I am a big Beatles fan. But this is one I don't put any stock in it. I just find it very interesting, and it shows a lot of imagination on some people's part, but also it shows a lot of I guess creative thinking. I guess that would be the same as imagination. I don't know, but just some of it's a real stretch. But yeah, so the Paul McCartney is dead theory is another one I'm going to dive into a little bit deeper in a couple of weeks, and also a lot of conspiracy theories revolving around UFOs. Of course, heard about for decades. We've heard about UFO sightings around the world, and there's so many theories about it. Like, if you've ever heard of Area 51, supposedly is a secret. Well, it's not even a secret anymore. We know it's there, but it's a secret facility. It's not what the government says it is. It's a secret facility where they study UFOs and aliens, and we've had contact with aliens, and the government works with aliens, and we've reverse engineered some of their technology, and that's why we have microwaves and cell phones and all this other kind of stuff. Uh, Again, some of it's interesting, some of it is laughable, but again, the sticking with the UFO topic, there was supposedly a UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico. Everybody's heard of Roswell, but it was supposedly a UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico, and the government originally said yeah, it was a UFO crash, and then the next day they're like, no, it was a weather balloon. That's a bit of that's kind of a large error to make. Yes, it was a UFO with some aliens. No, it was a balloon that we put there. So it does make you question a little bit. But yeah, and supposedly Area 51 is where they keep all these, the crash UFOs and the alien bodies and all this kind of stuff. And that's really kind of the whole premise of the X-Files TV show that I mentioned a little while ago was this alien conspiracy. That was the entire show that ran for, I think it was 9 seasons. And hey, it was a good show. I liked it. I've watched them all. I actually just rewatched all of the X-Files like a couple months ago. But yeah, so a lot of stuff revolving around UFOs. I'm not sure what the third one, and I'm gonna get real in depth it will be. But definitely next week is gonna be JFK because that one's my favorite, and after that is gonna be Paul McCartney, and then I'm gonna do one more. I haven't decided which one that's gonna be yet. In 3 weeks. So you'll find out when I do. I don't know. I kind of in case you haven't noticed, I wing it a lot on this show. There's not a lot of planning that goes into it. But yeah, so yeah, next week's gonna be JFK. Week after that's gonna be Paul McCartney. After that, I might do UFOs. There's a lot of information there, and like I said, a lot of it's interesting. A lot of it is just kind of insane. And then, of course, another one, probably the biggest conspiracy theory of recent history, I guess you could say, is Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I don't think there's a person on planet Earth that hasn't heard anything about Jeffrey Epstein. You know, he was convicted of basically being a sex trafficker, pedophile, that kind of thing. And he's in prison and suddenly dies. It looks like suicide, but you know, he's got all of these political and entertainment contacts in his little black book. And you know, there's been people coming forward just talking about some of the sick shit that he was into, and you know, the parties he would have, quote unquote. I wouldn't call that a party with some of the shit that was supposed to be going on. And so, you know, and the big thing is, the big thing you'll see online a lot is Epstein didn't kill himself. Um, so yeah, that would probably be the most well-known one of recent history. And I mean, that one's still going on today. There's still stuff, information being released, and names being put out there of people that he, that again, that were in his little black book, that supposedly were on his jet or on his island and attended parties that he threw and things like that. So it's, and if all that's true, yeah, there was probably a lot of people out there that had reason to want him dead. So not totally unreasonable that somebody else could have had a hand in his demise, to put it lightly. So again, you know, I personally, I love conspiracy theories, like I said, because I find them fascinating. I find it very interesting, some of the ideas that people will come up with, and some have uncovered legitimate evidence to support their theory, but you know, it's still not enough to be considered proof. But and others are just pulling shit out of thin air and make no sense whatsoever. Again, the flat Earth people. Wow. Yeah, you know, we've never been to space. Really? So where are those people that are on the space station right now? Are they floating around is that a TV studio too? They're just kind of floating around in a studio. I don't know. I mean, we have pictures and people have been there, and what makes some of these theories so ridiculous is because if you stop and think about it for a minute, it would take the involvement of thousands of people to keep these supposed secrets, you know, like the flat earth thing. So you're talking about governmental organizations, I mean, entire organizations, all of NASA, everybody that works for NASA has to be in on this. Every astronaut that's ever been up to space, every engineer that's worked on building rockets and space shuttles and the space station itself. I mean, come on. You know, the old saying is the only way for two people to keep a secret is if one of them's dead. And you're literally sitting here saying that these thousands of people are keeping the same secret and haven't said anything to anybody. Never, not once. Bullshit. That I call bullshit. The earth isn't flat, folks. It's round. It's a little ball, you know, like blue and green and other pretty colors just floating around the sun. And but yeah, so some of this shit is just really outlandish and ridiculous. You know, other conspiracy theories around religion. That's another thing that has so many different conspiracy theories around it. And you know, you got to be careful fucking with religious people because some of them are kind of crazy. But if you've ever seen the movie The Da Vinci Code or read the book's a whole lot better than the movie. The movie's not bad though, but the book is better. But you know, that the whole premise of that is a conspiracy around Jesus Christ. And you know, was he married? Did he have children? And do his descendants still walk the earth today? And all that kind of stuff. And again, some of it's plausible. It could happen. You know, the whole point of that is we have no actual records from that time. And religious people will argue that. They'll say they have the Bible, which was written 400 years after the fact, but to them it's fact. So you have your fantasy. Oh man, I don't care who I piss off. I really don't. But so like I said, there's literally conspiracy theories about pretty much anything that you can think of, any major world event, whether it's the Super Bowl or Jesus or 9/11 or Paul McCartney or JFK. There, any major event you can think of, there's probably a conspiracy theory around it about something. Because there's somebody out there who's not going to believe the official story. Like what, and honestly, if you're like me, if you find this kind of stuff interesting, like I said, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying I find it interesting. I like hearing all this stuff because, like I said, some of it's plausible, some of it's ridiculous. The plausible stuff I find fascinating. The ridiculous stuff I find hilarious. But if you're into this kind of stuff, there's actually a very good podcast out there. It's called Theories of the Third Kind. And, this is not a paid advertisement or anything. I love that podcast. It's an awesome podcast. It's been out for quite a while. Um, Definitely check them out. They've got some really good stuff out there on conspiracy theories, and they even delve into like supernatural and that kind of stuff. Comes out every Thursday. I listen to it every Thursday morning on my way to work. It's an awesome podcast, and these guys have some pretty good theories of their own about the stuff that they talk about, and they do mountains of research on all the stuff that they talk about on their show. Again, not a paid advertisement. I just happen to love that podcast, so I definitely recommend it if you're into that kind of stuff. But so yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up my little overview of conspiracy theories and what they are and how they work and how what the extremes are with them. The stuff that you'd say makes you say, "Whoa, that could actually happen." To like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Because that's really the two extremes when it comes to conspiracy theories. Some of it is very believable. Others of it is like these people need to be locked away somewhere because they're probably a danger to themselves. People that stupid shouldn't be allowed to walk around without supervision. But that's my opinion. Like it says at the beginning of the show, my opinion. If you don't like it, I really don't care. But so yeah, that's kind of my overview of conspiracy theories. Like I said, next week I'm going to get into the JFK assassination, like really dive into it, get into the different theories that there are about it and the different supposedly people that were involved and all that kind of stuff. Because again, I find it interesting as hell. And then 2 weeks we'll talk about the Paul McCartney is dead theory. Again, very interesting. Some interesting stuff out there about that one. And then in 3 weeks I'm going to do another one. Not sure which one. Maybe I'll dive into UFOs a little bit, or maybe I'll get into maybe I'll get more in depth on the flat earth thing, because that's literally the most ridiculous one out there in my opinion. So we'll see. That one's still up in the air, but next week JFK, week after that Paul McCartney. So but that for this week, that's going to wrap everything up. Like I said, I'm not, I definitely don't call myself a believer in any of these conspiracy theories, but I also am one who doesn't take everything just on face value. Like if it sounds a little shady, I'm going to look into it more. So that's kind of where I stand on it. And like I said, some of them I think sound very believable. Am I willing to stand here and say, yep, that's 100% what happened? No, because there's still not that what I would call proof, and that I'm the type of person that's what I need. You know, I'll look at evidence all day long and be like, you know what? Yeah, you have a plausible theory there that could have actually happened. So that's kind of how I view conspiracy theories. So hopefully you guys will check out next week's show with JFK. Yeah, with JFK. He's gonna be on the show. I'm gonna talk to him. He's not really dead. He lived. He's still kicking. No, next week's show about JFK. And, but for right now, I'm gonna wrap things up. Again, thank you to everybody for watching and listening on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, rate, comment, share. Help me spread the word. Share that, even if you think I'm just over here You know, if you think the show sucks and you're hate watching, share it with your friends so they can hate watch too. I'm okay with that. But yeah, all that stuff really does help out the show. Make sure you're following on socials, on all social media. It's at DILLIGAF_pod. And you can find all that on my link tree, which is linktree/DILLIGAF_pod, or scan the QR code right here in the corner of your screen. If you ever want to shoot me an email, it's DILLIGAFpod@gmail.com. And like I said before, email me, comment, send me a DM on socials. You know, give me feedback. I welcome it. Let me know what you think about conspiracy theories in general, or if there's one in particular that really makes you think, or that you think is the most ridiculous shit in the world. I want to hear about it. I want feedback from you guys. So but yeah, so until next week, I'm going to wrap things up. Hope everybody has enjoyed the show thus far. Hope everybody has a great weekend. And if anyone out there has any issues with anything that I have said here today, ask yourself one question. Do I look like I give a fuck?
We want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.